pretty. And tonight we're going to paint a beautiful mountain scene. So for tonight's painting, you'll need a big brush, a thin brush, and probably a medium-sized brush, a paper towel, and a container. Doesn't have to be fancy, with about half filled with water to clean your brush. This is an 11 by 14 canvas. You can make it bigger or smaller, whatever will look best in your home. Tonight for our mountain scene, we're going to first mix our paints. We have a phthalo blue, an orange, and a white. You may wonder, why do we need the orange? We need the orange to make kind of a real pretty gray for our mountains, for our mountain and clouds. First, wet your brush a little bit. We're going to mix our paint. You're going to mix up a real pretty, put some white, take some blue. Orange is the complementary color of blue, and it will gray that. So if we put a little bit of orange with it, it'll give us a real pretty grayish blue color for our sky. I'm going to take about half of that and mix some white in it for a different value. Okay, we're ready for our mountain scene. First, we're going to put the horizon line in. The horizon line is where the sky meets the ground. So the big artist rule of thumb is never to put it in the center. So we're going to drop it down a little bit below center, put a line across. Now we're ready for our sky. You may need to wet your brush just a little bit again. And then we're just going to kind of start painting up here and paint the cloud. We're going to put some clouds, and this will be kind of the backdrop for our pretty mountain scene. I might add some white in here for a cloud over our mountain. I love painting skies because there's never two that are the same. If your paint doesn't flow very easily, you might add some more water to it and it'll help it flow. Okay, we're going to keep it continuing down our canvas. I'm going to use the white to kind of soften some of the colors. As you get closer to the horizon line, you're going to add more white to it because the values of the color would be lighter. This area would be farther away from your eye, and your eye can't pick up all the different hues of the clouds. Okay, we're going to continue down to the horizon line. Okay, we might add some more white to this and maybe pick up a little bit more of a cloud shape up here. You can make it as distinct or as feathered as you'd like. Okay, we're also going to use these colors below the horizon line because we're going to put a lake down here, and this would be the lake would reflect the colors of the sky. So we're going to go in and do horizontal strokes. They certainly don't have to be very fancy. We just have to get the color on there. And we'll come in and whoops. If you have a mistake like that, I got into the orange, That's okay. We can fix that. How about that? We're going to put in a island over that anyway. That'll just add to our painting. Okay, so see, you can always I always tell my students, you can always fix mistakes whenever you paint. Or there's never a mistake. That might be a better illustration. There's never a mistake because you can always fix it. Okay, I'm just putting color on there. And we'll come back in a little bit and make a beautiful lake out of that. Okay, we're going to make our painting mantle ready, we're going to paint the edges of our painting so that whenever you get finished and can't necessarily get to the store to get a frame, your painting will be mantle ready. It will look gorgeous for all the people to come and see at your home. So we're just going to paint the edge of your painting quickly. Doesn't have to be beautiful. Just a little color. Helps to do it in the kind of the color that you do the sky. That way it won't be so abrupt. I'm adding a little bit water to my paint to make it flow all around the edge. Okay, so far what we've done, we have painted a sky and we've painted a lake with horizontal strokes. Now we're going to do the fun part. We get to do the mountain and the background tree lines. Okay. For our mountain, oh look, I need to mix up some more of that pretty color. I'm going to take my blue and the white and that orange and mix up a gray. It's okay for it to be a little bit dirty since we are painting the hill or the mountain. Okay, so I'm going to take this color and we're going to put the mountain in. I would kind of do a little bit of sketch right here. Few lines. I might do a little far off hill here. It's kind of hidden in the clouds there. Now, here's the fun part. Here's where you can, with the smaller brush, you can add some snow on top of your mountain. So notice I'm just kind of putting the color on there and then leaving it. Not doing a lot of brushing. I'm just laying the snow on there just as if it was falling, and kind of feathering in the sides here. We're going to pretend that this is in a really high altitude with lots of snow. We're in the middle of summertime, but those high mountains would still have snow on them. I'll put a little bit over here. All right, let's look at this tree line. Remember that we've said that we can, the farther something is from us, the lighter the value of the color. So I would take some of this same color, I would add a little bit of white to it. We're going to put a background hill with that color. Adding a little bit of water to my brush to make the paint flow. Ooh, here comes the fun part. You're going to take your brush and you're going to make vertical strokes. This is going to make our tree line. If your brush needs a little bit more water to make it flow, so we're just putting that, giving the impression of, it doesn't have to be very exact because these trees are really far from us. So you're putting just lots of trees. And we're going to kind of like let them go into your eyes going to lead you to believe that there's lots of trees in the background. Now we're going to make a darker value for that same colors for a closer tree line. So we're going to take the blue, gray it down with some orange, and we're going to put in a closer hill line, mountain line, with lots of pretty trees on it. First, it's good to kind of fill that hill in. If your paint needs some water, add that to your paint. Then we're going to do those vertical strokes again. To give that impression of lots of trees. You kind of want to keep painting over that line so that you don't see that abrupt line that you painted in. Just keep adding trees and blending them down. Okay, now we're going to take this color. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. If you'll recall, blue and yellow make green. So if we take this gray color that we have, I'm just going to take a touch of yellow. We're going to put the trees that would be along the lakefront would be kind of a greener color because they are a little bit closer to us and our eye can catch the beautiful colors in the trees. So we're getting a little bit bolder with our values. So to make our values here, we would kind of put in some tree line. To make our trees, you're going to start at the top. And remember, these don't have to, because they're pretty far from us, we're not going to see a lot of detail in our trees. We're just going to start at the top, kind of give it a top, and then kind of continue down with your brush. On this side, these trees are going to be covered by our foreground, so we won't have to do a lot of detail over there. If you want to practice over there, that might be a good thing to do. But we're putting in some trees along this lakefront line. So with this bolder color next to the lake, it makes these values seem like they're further from us, which that's what we're aiming for. Again, if you don't want to do put in your trees over here, that's totally fine. Okay, now this is a fun part. We're going to put some upside down squiggles. This is going to be the reflection of these trees that you just painted. I'm going to wash my brush, or actually I'm going to use my brush that I used up here, and I'm going to go over this one time. That's going to give that lake effect. It's going to make it look like with the reflections in the water. Okay, don't need to brush a lot, otherwise it might turn to mud. I'm going to take a little bitty brush now with some white and put in a little bit of line. This is going to give us a water line back in here. Do horizontal strokes. That's going to give us a water line over what you just painted. That will give that impression of some water in the distance. Okay, now it's time for the foreground. For our foreground, I'm going to take this is some sap green. I'm going to add this to our palette. And for our sap green, we're going to also, because it's in the same cool color family with the blues, I'm going to take some green and I'm going to add some of that orange to kind of make all these colors blend together. I'm going to make some orange to kind of gray that color down also. Okay. Okay, we're going to put in some foreground. All right, I could have a small little island here. I'm going to just kind of sketch these in with my brush. Small little island on this side. Maybe, I don't want it even with the other. Maybe one right back here. That kind of gives me an idea of where to start with your trees. Okay. For our background, for the trees, I think I want to add a little bit more orange to the green. Okay. Typically on the evergreen trees, I like to start at the top so that you know where you're beginning, so you know where your top of your tree is, and you know where to, and it's easier to add to rather than go up with evergreens. So I'm going to start up here, maybe a little bit to the right of my mountain. I'm just going to put a line going down. Kind of gives me an idea of where we want our tree. We don't ever want to put our tree at the same height. So I'm going to stagger the height on this. I might make this one a little bit taller. Okay, so that's our plan. Now our trees, we're just going to start here at the top. We don't have to have a lot of fancy. We're going to start at the top and kind of continue down. The top would not have as thick a foliage as down closer to the base. If you need to put water on your brush, that's great. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the second one. Start at the top. If you want to practice on your palette before you put your trees in, that's always a good idea. Get your confidence up to get your evergreens going. And here's our third one. All right. I also want to kind of put a little bit of reflection here of our trees. We'll do a few more trees on this side. We'll plant our tree here. I might add some more of this color, because these trees would be a little bit further back. I might gray this down a little bit. I might add, maybe we want to grow our trees. You could even want to put one that's maybe fallen over, had high winds that day. Okay, notice I'm not doing a lot of brushing. I'm just kind of going straight into the canvas with kind of a bouncing motion. Okay, for this fallen tree, we'll add a little bit of greenery. Okay, I'm going to put a little this foreground up here. We might just add something kind of with just a little bit of vegetation here. I might add a little bit of white and yellow to this color. Kind of add some little shrubbery, little vegetation there. We'll put a reflection in there. I'm going to take this lighter color and make it a little bit lighter so that we can do some highlights on our trees. It looks like your sun is coming from this direction, so we would have highlights on the left side of the tree. So I'm going to make a lighter color, and on the left side of the tree, I'm just going to go in and put a little bit of highlight where the sky is hitting those trees. Give it a pretty pop to the color. That will make your darker colors. You can see that value also. Painting is always a game of lights and darks. Pardon me. Okay, I want to come in here, add a little bit more variance in color here. Maybe a few of that little vegetation on this side also. I want to reflect that color. Okay, now it's time for the fun reflection part. I'm going to take some of the sky color and the lake color. And remember, we're just going to hit this one time across. So to give it the kind of a reflecting ambiance. Okay, now we're going to take a brown and your really skinny brush and add a little water to it. We're going to make the trunks for the trees. We're not going to do a solid tree trunk. We're just going to show every once in a while where that tree trunk might be peeking through some of the foliage. And again, since that light is coming from this direction, whoops. I'm just going to hit this just a little bit, just to highlight your tree trunks. Okay, what do you think about your painting? You always want to kind of step back a little bit and never judge your painting close up. The further you get back from it, you can see all your wonderful, wonderful touches and nice things that you've done. A great artist always signs their painting. So use one of the colors that you've used in your painting, and you can put your initials in one of the corners. I hope you've had a great time painting with Lolli. Have a great day.